Now we continue to solve equations using, we're going to be using different structures now. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet and you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe. Now here we're going to be solving this equation 2 times 1 minus x, and that's in parentheses, plus 3 is equal to -8. And we're going to be our solution. So let's see how we can do it both ways. I'm going to use two different strategies in order to solve this. Now, first, let's use distribution. We're going to use distribution here. So we're going to multiply 2 times 1 and 2 times x. Well, 2 times 1, that will be, let me change the color of my pen. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times -x is -2x. And I still have this +3 here, which is equal to -8. Well, now I can combine like terms on the left side. I see that I have this 2 and this +3. 2 plus 3, that's 5. And I still have this -2x. I'm going to bring it down. And that's still equal to -8. Well, what can I do now? Remember that our goal is to leave x alone. So what we can do now is subtract 5 on both sides. I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. These 5 are going to cancel. They cancel each other out. 5 minus 5 is 0. And I can bring down this -2x. And that will give me -8 minus 5, -8 minus 5. Remember that if you are at -8 and you are walking -5 steps, it's like doing -9, -10, -11, -12, -13. You move 5 steps to the opposite direction. Remember that to the left we have our negative numbers, to the right we have positives. So that will be -13. And then I can just divide by -2. And we know that, let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. We know that negative divided by a negative, that gives us positive. So my answer is going to be positive 13 divided by 2. Now, what happens if we try a different way? For example, interpreting 1 minus x as a whole, as a single quantity. What happens if I can treat all of that as a single quantity? Check this out. This is what I'm going to do first. First thing that I can do here is I can subtract 3 on both sides. Now, this is just a different avenue that you can take. As long as you use inverse operations, you will be fine. Your answer should be the same. But we're going to see that in just a little bit. So I can use inverse operations to get rid of this +3 first. And then I'm left with 2 times 1 minus x. And that is equal to -8 minus 3. That is -8 minus 3. That will be -11. And now I can divide by 2 because this 2 is multiplying this 1 minus x. Again, we're looking at 1 minus x as a single quantity. I can divide by 2. The inverse of multiplication is division. So I divide by 2 on both sides. And that gives me 1 minus x is equal to -11 divided by 2. Well, what can I do now? Well, what I can do now is I can add 1 on both sides. I can add 1 on both sides. And now be very careful when you get to this point, because a lot of times we forget to, let me do this. These ones are going to, oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to add. I'm supposed to subtract. I almost made a mistake there. So -1, -1. So these cancel each other out. And now I'm left with, what I was going to say is, a lot of times we forget to bring down this negative. So be very careful when you do that. Well, -11 divided by -11 divided by 2 minus 1, that is -13 divided by 2. And now I can divide by -1 over here. divided by -1, and that is equal to x is equal to 13 divided by 2. So I still get the same answer. Notice that I use two different avenues. Here is a whole thing. Here are both problems. And I know that it looks a little bit messy, but hopefully you can see every single step. Now, here's this quick check for understanding. I want you to try it using distribution first, and then I want you to try the same problem, but now interpreting x plus 1 as a single quantity. So go ahead and try it and see if you got the problem. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video. I'm going to solve this first problem using distribution, and I'm trying to just, I know there was a lot of movement there, but I'm going to use this distribution. So I'm going to do shape with that 3. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is positive 3. Plus 6 is equal to -9. What do I do now? Well, I combine my like terms, and that will give me plus 9 is equal to -9. I can now subtract 9 on both sides because I have a plus 9, and that gives me 3x is equal to -18. And lastly, I can divide by 3. So x is equal to -18 divided by 3. That gives me -6. If you got -6 using distribution, you are correct. Now let's take a look at this one. We're going to do it by looking at or treating one as a single quantity. So what I'm going to do now, or what you should have done, was subtract 3 on both sides, and that would have left you with 3 times x plus 1, and that's equal to -9 minus 6, that is -15, not 16, -15. And now we could have divided by 3. So divide by 3. That cancel each other out, or actually it simplifies to 1, and I'm left with x plus 1 is equal to -5. Well, what will be the last step? What will be the last step here? Well, the last step is to subtract 1. And that gives me x is equal to -6.